What's going on, YouTube? Smaldor here, and I am here with an early thoughts and impressions on of Ash and Steel. Um, I put in about 10 and a half hours or so into the game so far. Um, and so I'm going to be pretty honest about how I feel about the game. Um, and also I'm going to make sure, you guys are aware of like how I gauge, games just in general, really. So, Ash and Steel, it's basically a third-person, semi-open, fully open world RPG. I don't know. This game has very deep mechanics. It has a lot of mechanics. Um, Somebody in the stream today had mentioned, like, is this game similar to KCD? Really. And I'm like, it has a lot of things that KCD has. It has, full day and night. It has, a law system. You can steal, you can pickpocket. Granted, those are skills you must learn how to do. There's full crafting, craft weapons, armor, jewelry. There's the full camping system with, crafting food and everything like that. You craft potions. And these are just things that I'm aware of, by the way. But this game is janky. This game is really janky. I always come back to thinking about a game that I played called Elix years ago, and that game was very janky. Like one of the things that I always think about is like, as like an analogy, I guess, is like finding like, I don't know, diamond in the rough. But really is that the meat of the game is really, really good, and it's just, it's kind of smudged and covered up with some crap, really. And if you can, polish it out a little bit and get underneath, and then you get to the really good stuff. You get to what's valuable. And when I play these kind of games, one, I'm biased towards this type of game. I absolutely love big, deep RPG games with lots of mechanics. It's a fantasy world. There are monsters. There is magic. And it should be noted in my 10 hours, though, I haven't really encountered much magic, but I do know it exists. But there are definitely monsters and things like that. There are, I love having the gear system. And sure, it's just helmet, chest, legs. My webcam's covering it, but there's melee weapon and ranged weapon. You have 2 ring slots and a necklace slot. You have skill trees here for survival, craftsmanship, and war, which is your combat stuff. And then you have your attributes. Every time you level, you get attributes. I have no idea how any of this is. Whatever all this stuff is on the right side, I don't know. We'll get there. There is a cool mini game in this game. It's almost like a rock, paper, scissors brawl system. Brawling. I can see how some people might get frustrated because there's no way of knowing what your opponents are going to do. I really like it. It's called Ranta. And basically, you go in with these stances. I don't want to go too much into this because you don't actually get access to this like immediately. But it's really cool. I don't know. I like it. That's just me. Because it's kind of a tactical mini game. Yeah. So let's go back to the jank. The combat isn't like the most amazing combat that you're going to see in a game. It's pretty jank. It's kind of slow. Some people have said, I've heard people like, and I'm just going off of like what people coming into my chat. The game's really hard, or the game's really hard because the combat sucks. Or, or it's like, it seems pretty fair, kind of thing. Lighter weapons are faster to use. Slower, bigger weapons, or is what I should say, heavier and bigger weapons are slower to use, but do more damage. Just like what you would expect. I find the combat is serviceable. It's not great, but I don't think it's terrible. But when I play these kind of games, the combat is generally the least important thing to me. As long as it's serviceable, I kind of stop caring about how good or bad the combat is, as long as it's usable. Because I care about the exploration. I care about finding cool loot that's carefully crafted and placed in locations, that reward an explorer, or defeating like a big bad or something like that. I like those kind of things. I like interacting with NPCs. There's a lot of NPCs in this game. I just reached like the first like major city of the game, and it's massive. Now, of course, there's jank, like what you're seeing on the screen right now. This NPC's stuck on my character. Yeah, there's full day and night cycles, and I found out when I got to this city, shops close. Like, I'm thinking, we're thinking of like the older Elder Scrolls games, at least it comes to my mind, I like that a lot. People go to bed. People have their full day agendas that the characters will run through. And that's cool. I like that. It seems like not every NPC does, though. Just some. I guess it's better than nothing. I'm trying to think of like last things to really talk about. I do have a quest that is bugged. And I've heard that other people have other bugs, so that is something to keep in mind as well. There are bugs in the game. I've had, every kind of bug ranging from I attacked a wolf and its corpse flew up in the air and never came down, so I couldn't loot it, to, I have a quest that I literally cannot do. Thankfully, it's not the main quest. So I just kind of moved on. The game has fishing. Yeah. Voice acting's subpar, it's whatever. Again, for me, that's not something I'm really gonna be like, oh man, the voice acting's not great, therefore the game's trash, can't play it. It's like, okay, I get through it. The other thing that I saw a lot of people complain about is the animations in the game. Now, I originally was just like, well, I don't really care about that. Animations or whatever, it looks kind of funny sometimes, sure, but, it doesn't really bother me. Then somebody in my chat had mentioned that, yeah, that's all well and good, but what about when it matters to combat, when you actually have to react to it? And my response to that was, I actually haven't had any issues in the combat with, like, animations like reading wrong or something like that, or, wrong hit registration and things like that. All of that has actually worked fine. It's just sometimes their limbs seem to be very loose, and their hands are just a lot of this sometimes, and it looks a little strange. So if that bothers you, like I said, and that all kind of like is encompassed in the jank of the game, understandable. That being said, this game, I believe, is $30 on Steam normally. Right now, as of this video, it is on sale at like 23 USD. I think there's a lot of good stuff here. This is my personal take. I'm going to continue to play the game, but, just keep in mind, if you guys want to give it a shot, there is a lot of jank, so go in knowing that. All right. Any comments, please leave down below. Like the video if you like. You want to see anything more, subscribe, everything every other YouTuber says. Thank you. Thanks for watching.